Oh boy, Alpha Hunters. Hopefully, you had a very fantastic week. We saw some really solid action, price action this week. Well, because we had plenty of catalysts kind of going on this week, none other than the U.S. elections. So there you go. Now there are a lot of things that went on this week. I am not going to get through all of them. I'm going to try to kind of just show off the more important high level stuff and things like that. But I did think about changing the thumbnail, not from just an outright SPY sell, but more of underperform. I do think our recent price action, especially this week, I mean, we just kind of exploded off the top here. I do think we'll see some pullbacks. I don't think you want to be getting in here. So I'm going to leave the sell for now, but you can always readjust and redo some things later. But underperform for my SPY, the SPY outlook, I think might be more relevant, especially going forward, and we'll take a look at that. As far as the market, though, we pretty much had a flat open to start the week there on Monday. Nice little rollover, drop off there midday, bounce, and kind of just meandered Monday into the close. And then Tuesday. Okay, so one of those things they usually get from post-election is a surge. You get a market surge. And we got that. We had some front running actually go into Tuesday. We had a nice little uptrend and nice little pop. Ended at the session highs right there on Tuesday. So it was looking pretty good. Got the huge gap up. Election is done. And the reason why you get the post-election U.S. election surge is because investors then know where to put capital. And is right. Investors are waiting to figure out, okay, who's going to win, what policies are most likely going to be taken into effect, and then they can put capital to work. This isn't just about investment capital. This is also business capital, right? Businesses kind of want to know where they need to put capital to work. So a lot of those questions just got answered Tuesday night, Wednesday, and there you go. Nice gap up, huge gap up there on Wednesday. Kind of just hung out there for the first half of the day, I guess, and slowly trickled higher there the rest of the day on Wednesday. It was a huge day. How much were we up? We were up 2.5% there on the SPY. Nice little gap up there on Thursday as well. Thursday was also another important day. I didn't get out as many midday outlooks this week, mostly because we had FOMC there on Thursday. I don't do one FOMC day because things are going to change so much in the afternoon. But we didn't really do too much indifferent. We kind of just steadily rose. Obviously, the election was probably the bigger news event of the week. And not too much that we didn't already know that was going to happen. We got the quarter point cut from the Fed. Nice little pop, little volatility there. Nothing like what we normally see on FOMC weeks. Usually it's the most dominant thing as far as volatility for the week. But yeah, had a nice little day. Continuation higher there on Thursday. Nice little continuation higher. Gap up there on Friday. Nice little steady trickle higher up until about the last hour. Then we saw a decent pullback. But as far as going into next week, guys, you don't need to rush into anything. All right, take a look at sector performance for the week. Okay, so this is kind of where you get to that, hey, all right, what industries are going to be better aligned to perform well with, new administration, new policies, whatever the changes. If as far as how the, sectors did do for the week, discretionaries did very well. Tesla did very, very well. Energies looking pretty good. Industrials, tech, and financials. Financials had a fantastic day on Wednesday. JP Morgan was up like 10% that day. It was crazy. Communications, underperforming. Okay, real estate underperforming this week, mostly because yields were crazy throughout the week. Healthcare, materials, utilities, and staples, the biggest underperformers on the week. Now, on the right side here, I have a bunch of different markets around the world. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you just kind of want to look at them yourself, you can pause the video and just kind of take a look at these and take a look at the charts or whatever and bring them up on the charts. But you can take a look. Here's what Europe did. So a lot of international stocks did not do well. International markets did not do nearly as well. You can see China, pretty volatile there, pretty big down day on Wednesday, pretty big up day there on Thursday, pretty big down day there on Friday. As far as Indonesia dropping off there. So this gives you a little bit of that sentiment of what's going to be happening going forward. And this is just the international stocks excluding the U.S. market. so the VXUS, so you can kind of just see how US or non-US stocks kind of just did. All right, take a look at the VIX. Huge drop off. Got the answers to a lot of questions. So there you go. VIX had increased uncertainty over the past month. Basically just got rid of all that uncertainty with the quarter point rate cut from the Fed and US elections. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. DXY dollar index, huge pop there on Wednesday off of some pullbacks. Pretty decent sized pullback days there Monday, Tuesday, but huge move there on Wednesday. Pretty big and a large pullback there on Thursday, right into that 10 EMA previous kind of high area, and kind of a nice little continuation pop higher on Friday. So the market's just kind of telling you what they are expecting going forward. GLD Gold Trust. I mean, if dollar's gonna be running kind of strong, I mean, we might see some pullbacks, some decent pullbacks here in gold and maybe precious metals, but I wouldn't think that they're going to be dropping off. I would still just look for some pretty good consolidations, pullbacks, and probably be bullish off of some of those areas. Yields, 10-year yield at least. Huge pop there on Wednesday, pulled all the way back Thursday and Friday, basically back down to the lows that we had on Wednesday. But it's an interesting spot. Are we going to just absolutely drop off? I think it's going to be a very important week coming up for yields, especially since this past week we actually did gap down to start Monday, but that was going into a pretty volatile week, so pretty important week. So we'll see what we get this next week. I mean, even if yields kind of pull back, and I'd almost kind of expect it to kind of pull back here over the next month or two, consolidate and push higher later, but that's just kind of what I would expect. As far as the 10 and 2 inversion, yeah, we did see short-term or short-dated yields, the 2-year outperform, the longer-term stuff like the 10 and the 30-year here Thursday and Friday, especially on Friday. It's pretty evident of that. So yeah, 10 and 2, not exactly continuing higher anymore. Might continue to chop around here. We kind of talked about that back in August, September as we were getting around the zero line. Might see it chop around the zero line for a while. HYG, high yield corporate bond. So this is kind of like the IWM or the Russell 2000 type bonds, right? So they looking pretty good to kind of end out the week, especially after the U.S. elections were done. And when we take a look at the IWM, you'll also see the relationship there and why they were doing so well this week. But HYG looking pretty good, maybe not a bad area to be at. LQD did have a nice little drop off there on Wednesday, but bounced back there pretty good Thursday, Friday. Might see a little bit of a higher push, LQD, and possibly even TLT, maybe a higher consolidation before we maybe possibly roll over. All right, I'm going to run through the weekly real quick, a weekly time frame across these 5 ETFs, these market ETFs, just so you can kind of see what kind of happened this week. So the RSP was up roughly 4% this week, looking pretty good. Nice strong week, nice volume that came in. Been pretty choppy there for a while. I still think, I mean, we're going to be pretty extended here. I mean, even if we continue higher, maybe worth something like this. But I mean, it's been a while since we interacted with the 50 EMA on a weekly time frame, so it might be something more like this where we got a pretty large extension higher. Even back here, this is like a 3.8% higher move. So we might have a pullback, a decent pullback here over the next coming weeks by the end of the year or something like that. Do we get a Santa rally? Will Santa rally matter as we go into the end of the year? I don't know. That was a pretty large move this week. DIA, pretty large, strong move here on the DIA, up 4.7%. You can see it's definitely probably the largest weekly gain that we've had in a while. Yeah, we could probably see a decent pullback here. IWM was an interesting one, mostly because, well, we just finally put in all-time highs on the IWM. So there you go, right there. It gapped up, didn't quite take it out on the gap, but got through there during that day on Wednesday. So there you go. Huge day, huge week, up 4.75% there for the week on the IWM, ending at all-time highs. Finally back there after years of not being there, really lagging behind here over the past 2 years. Not like the Qs and the SPY where they did very well. Speaking of the Qs, all-time highs got back above that high that we had in July. Looking pretty good. Up 5.5% for the week. and the SPY up 4 3/4 for the week, looking pretty solid, continuing higher there, but definitely has been in the all-time high area for a good period of time now, going all the way back to June, like late December of last year. So it's been about a year that we've been about an all-time high area. Yeah, as far as the price action, the things that we saw this week, IWM looking pretty solid with about almost a 9% performance on the week. All right, take a look here at the RSP, the equal weight SP 500, and yeah, we just huge gap there Wednesday after we basically kind of figured out who won the U.S. elections. Kind of just didn't really then do too much. I mean, we had a pretty good pullback there Wednesday, but it bounced off of that. Thursday's kind of a hangout day. Friday we just kind of continued higher a little bit. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't expect crazy moves going forward higher. I'd be looking probably more for some pullbacks. Especially there in the RSP area. DIA, nice little gap up there on Wednesday, continued higher. Nice little small doji there on Thursday, crazy. Didn't really do much of anything, continued higher there on Friday. IWM had a monster day on Wednesday. On Wednesday, it was up 5.8%. Ooh, man, talk about figuring out where the market wants to be positioned. There it is. A little bit of a pretty fat doji there on Thursday and continue higher a little bit, not taking out Thursday's high, but continuing higher there on Friday. All right, the Qs, nice gap up, taken out basically right at the highs of the past couple of weeks. And not only that, but we did slice right through the all-time highs that we put in back in July. So my theory of lower highs coming across the Qs while the SPY and RSP is going higher, definitely just got that bubble to bust. So yeah, you know what, it's fine. I mean, it's a lot of emotion kind of coming into the market right now, so not saying we don't go lower here over the next couple of months, but it's going to be a little bit of time before we definitely overturn some of the momentum that we just put into the market. But yeah, continue higher very nicely Thursday, a little bit of continue higher Friday. The Qs were definitely the one that underperformed the most on Friday. SPY, very nice gap up, trade higher Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So did pretty good pretty much every day. Nice move higher there on Tuesday, kind of getting you some front running going on there. So basically the market is telling you that they are expecting small caps to perform well going forward, less likely large caps. I mean, the only day this week where like big tech really outperformed was really Thursday. Other than that, it didn't really outperform much. So that would be probably my big takeaway of the week. International stocks did not do well. So to me, small, medium, probably poised to do well, maybe going forward for the next 4 years at least. So that's what I would be looking for. IWM probably going to be a little bit more my leaning into. The RSP also looking to be somewhat decent. SPY, I would say maybe not just an outright sell, but maybe just underweight. I'm going to leave a sell for now, but underweight probably makes more sense right now on SPY. And I think tech might just be the lagger. One, they're continuing to build out the infrastructure for AI, right? That's the big part of it. And then the other is I think you're probably going to see more incentive for small, medium-sized businesses to kind of come in and compete in a lot of different areas. So Alpha Hunters, have a great weekend and take care.